Welcome, everybody. John Zager. Good morning. How is everyone? Let's see. It's about 10:30 here, Colorado time on the eastern slope. Clear skies mostly. Some clouds out to the west. Had a little weather come in late yesterday afternoon, evening. Cooled it off for a little while. That was great. It's been hot here. I think we're supposed to get a little afternoon shower each day. I'm not sure, for a couple more days. And I just finished working out, and I thought I would do a quick little podcast. And today I've been working on wealth and how do we get ourselves in a position of wealth or abundance. And I talked about that for the last, couple days, did a couple blogs on it. They turned out pretty well. So I kind of wanted to talk about success and wealth and abundance, and then the opposite of all that, which is lack. Lack of wealth, lack of abundance, lack of success. And what differentiates the two, and why does one happen and the other one doesn't? Let's take the belief system we've talked about for the past several months. And you have two identical kids growing up in the same family. And one child listens to parents and adults and everybody else that the other child listens to, and ends up with belief systems and perceptions that they're going to get whatever disease or illness mom or dad, whoever had it in the family, whatever it was, diabetes or cancer or whatever sickness there was. And the other child walks away with a belief system perception that that's not for me, and never gets sick a day in his or her life. Why is that? I guess the same thing's kind of true when we look at abundance and lack, right? The book by Robert Kiyosaki, I believe, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, makes it pretty clear. You grow up in an affluent family with a rich dad, and he teaches you how to acquire money, how to acquire wealth, how to view yourself, how to have confidence, empowerment, inspiration, success. And the other kid who grows up in a non-affluent family, has poor dad, doesn't learn those attributes, and in turn goes on the rest of his life or her life with lack. Doesn't ever acquire money or a substantial income, or maybe even a home. Maybe just rents their whole life. I'm not sure. Lives in a trailer. So Robert paints a picture in his book of black or white. It's either this way or that way. And I'm kind of in agreement with him. I kind of, from my growing up, having gone to a private Jesuit high school and private Jesuit college, I was around people that came from wealth or affluence. And actually, even in grade school, I was around some of the other schools that were in affluent neighborhoods, and I played basketball and little kids football and baseball with those kids, and I saw from an early age that what Robert Kiyosaki is talking about in his book held true. Those kids from the affluent neighborhoods or families, had a lot of confidence. They only saw success. They didn't see failure. They didn't understand lack. They were kind of brought up with whatever they want, they're going to get it. They just have to find the means to do so. It's not like I'm not going to get it ever. I am going to get it. But now I have to go find the tools in order to achieve that. Whereas the kids who grew up in lack would say, I can't do that. That's not possible. And they would go on to something else. And they never fulfilled that desire, right? That's big, you guys. That's big. So this morning, I'm at, I guess it's a community center where they have, basketball courts and weight rooms and classes on top of classes and just a beautiful, beautiful facility for a part of town that's not necessarily wealthy. I think we have we have 3 other community centers, some of which have pools and other stuff, but for the most part they're in middle class to upper middle class parts of town. And I wanted to come over here. I've been coming over here for a few days just to see the kids. I'm always doing research, you guys, and I wanted to observe. These are kids not necessarily from affluent families, and how do they conduct themselves, and what's their attitudes towards success, towards winning, towards achieving. How do they view themselves with confidence, no confidence? Do they seem empowered? Do they seem inspired? Compared to a couple of the other community centers in this town where the opposite is true. People and the kids come from affluence. And you get like what the book said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So, you guys, this morning I stayed home a little bit later and did my blog, but I made coffee, yay, and I also made some turmeric and ginger tea. Turmeric root and ginger root, and then you boil it in a little tea kettle for a while, and then you get the nutrients and all the good stuff out of that. Well, I mixed the two. I mixed the turmeric ginger tea with the coffee. I gotta tell you, it's delicious. The coffee wasn't very good. I got chintzy and didn't buy anything really good and expensive, so I bought a low-end coffee, and I didn't like it. So I decided that I would add the turmeric tea this morning, and I think I'm going to have to do that every day until I get rid of the coffee. I digress. Sorry. So, where was I? So anyway, I'm over here at this center where the kids can come over and work out and play and do all kinds of stuff, basketball, volleyball, whatever. They got a skateboard thing back here. They got handball. They got racquetball. They got everything. And here's my observation. trust me, this is going somewhere. I have no idea where, but we'll both get there together if you just hang in here with me. So I'm watching and observing these kids and comparing them to the little peeps, right, in the other community centers. Now, the other community centers have all this stuff, but they have a pool. And what I noticed over there was that the kids are, I'm going to use this word, but I really mean it in a positive, healthy sense. The little guys are kind of cocky. You know, it's kind of like, I'm good. I'm a swimmer, you know, and I belong to this team, and we're having a swim meet. And, you know, you go in the locker room and you listen to these little guys, and they're just as funny as can be because they believe they're Olympians. They believe they're Olympians, so to speak, right? And they do have these swim meets. You know, they usually have these once a month, 3-day swim meets. And they're kind of cool. I've actually sat and watched a couple of them for a little while. And the kids are good, you know. They have a coach. They train hard early in the morning. And, you know, it's kind of neat. Over here, it's different. Over here, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday morning or the day before. I'm not real sure. I was walking in from the parking lot, and one little guy got out of the car. His mom had brought him over, and, you know, he was, as I found out, he was going in to play basketball. They had a little, I guess they call it a catch-up game, you know, where they have referees and they have bleachers and people come and watch. And, you know, the kids play basketball, kind of competitive basketball. And this little guy got out of his mom's SUV. It was modest. It wasn't like, you know, brand new. And he, like, didn't really want to leave. And then he started walking with his head down and his shoulders slumped, you know, towards the gym door to get in. And of course I felt, you know, somewhat bad for him. I didn't know what was going on. Could have been 100 different things. I don't know. But I kind of lagged behind and followed him, right? You know, I was going the same spot. And when I got to the front door, ran it and got to the front door, he was kind of standing there, not real confident. Kind of like he was processing something. And I said, you know, good morning, buddy, and how you doing? And you having a good day? And, you know, what do you got going on? Are you playing a game today? And he kind of brightened up a little bit. And I opened the door for him and I said, you coming in? And he said, sure. And, you know, he went on in and the lady acknowledged him at the desk. And he went on down to the gym or whatever to play in whatever game he was playing. But I thought that was significant. Very significant, you guys. I had not seen that behavior from the kids at the other community centers, right? That's one. Number two is over here, they have these little classes outdoors. Every day that I'm here, the last, 3 or 4 days, and there's usually 2, young adults, maybe late teens, early 20s, I don't know. And they're overseeing the activity. And it's kind of interesting because here's what I observed. As a psychologist, neuroscientist, hobbyist, whatever, they were trying to there were two things they were trying to do. They were trying to get everybody to participate. Think about that for a minute. Some of the kids over here didn't, well, how should I say this? They didn't have the social skills to know how to participate. Does that sound okay? And these two people who were overseeing the activities would encourage them to talk, participate, do the activity, interact, and some response from the others usually was fairly positive based on what I saw. And I've observed that even today. Just walking out a little while ago, I observed the same thing. The one girl, what do they call the girls that overlook the kids? I don't know. Was trying to get this one little boy to talk, holding the ball that they were all playing with. And I didn't stop and stare, but I walked on by. And as I got by a little bit, I heard laughter. I don't know. I'm going to take it that, he said something and it was enjoyable for people and people laughed. But so the second observation was I didn't see the empowerment, the inspiration, the confidence, the whatever. I have seen kids sitting in the hall or different areas, sometimes by themselves. And of course I didn't stare or hang out or, doing that, just in passing. But for the most part over here, it seems like everything is directed towards how can I get these young kids to interact and participate. I actually think they do better when they're out here, in the skateboard park doing their own thing. I've watched that as well, and I'm aware that, maybe that works as well, if not better. So, I just noticed I have my earbuds in, and I just noticed that the plug was not plugged into the phone. So I'm just talking normally without my earbuds and hoping now that all this is being recorded and I'm not wasting all this time. But anyway, so we'll find out. So how do we get to success, and how does that happen? I believe that there's a clear distinction between the people that come from wealthy families and families of lack. And I believe some kids are given the talents and some kids do not receive the talents. I don't think there's any question about that. And I've just run this little podcast, and I'm going to continue to finish it off. But it proves itself out. It's actually fact. It's science. It's go and observe. Go and spend a week or 10 days with all of this, and it's just the way life is. My question, and part of my reasoning for doing this today is a couple. But what about the kids that are in the middle? What about the kids that come neither from affluence nor lack? but are in the middle. I don't know where to go find those kids. I don't know how to assess whether this kid, I can assess whether they came from wealthy or from lack by the location that I'm at and just knowing town well enough. But I don't know how to tell if they came from the middle. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people on the planet that neither came from wealthy nor poor, and they were just kind of standard, middle class. And here's my observation about middle class. I don't see success running around chasing them. I don't see them, this is me, this is just me, don't get upset. I don't see them being CEOs, running programs, running, companies, corporations, overseeing large number of employees. I don't see that. But I'm working on it. And I'm going to find some way to evaluate and determine which kids are in a middle class. I don't know, I might sit down with the director here and maybe look at some statistics and see what percentage of kids. I know they keep demographics of kids here, and I might just see what the demographics show, and then maybe I can better assess. Because everybody here is not sitting in the corner. Everybody here is not dejected or depressed or sad or having problems as some might appear, right? But the majority of them are not showing huge amounts of confidence, and I wonder if there are some, maybe a larger majority than I can imagine, that are middle-class kids, right? And this just happens to be, the facility they like, or their friends go to, or they go to because of the neighborhood, or whatever. I don't know. So that leads to the question of, how does it work for adults as you grow up if you didn't come from lack and you didn't come from abundance, but you came from middle class? So, sorry you guys. I believe if you came from middle class, you don't get the same benefits from rich dad providing you the information and the know-how and instructing you how to be successful and wealthy. Likewise, if you come from middle class, I don't believe you end up with nothing that the kids from lack receive. I believe you receive more empowerment, inspiration, and some knowledge, right, that'll get you on the road to live a pretty healthy, successful life. So I'm not real sure about that. My curiosity and why I guess I did this podcast is that I come from, middle class. I don't come from lack, although, there were days, growing up where things were not very abundant. But yet on the other side, I didn't come from a wealthy family of abundance, and I didn't learn all of those tools. What I've figured out for myself is that I had to go out and find the information. For whatever reason, and this is interesting, everyone, and I hope this whole podcast comes out. I really hope this podcast comes out. and the phone just picks it up. I really hope it does. But I don't know, I don't remember what was going through my head or that of my mom or dad at the time that inspired me to go to a private Jesuit all-boys high school. Whew. I can't imagine, I mean, this is me thinking when I was a kid, I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. I was hell-bent on not going to public school. When I was in grade school, public grade school, Catholic grade school, so I guess that's private, I had no other thought or desire other than I'm going to play baseball, basketball, and football here in grade school. And I'm going to excel so that maybe I can get a scholarship to high school. Isn't that weird? I didn't know or think any different. When it was time to go to college, that was really a tough time for me, right? Because I had to make the decision. To go to college. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college before. And number two, was it going to be, a community college? Was it going to be a private college? Was it going to be a state college? What was it going to be? And what I found out was that I wanted to go to a private Jesuit college where, with my research, the education was better as far as what I was concerned. So, how did I turn out? I've had episodes of success and I've had episodes of failure. Right? I've achieved a lot of really cool stuff. I could go through all my accolades and stuff, and I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm here to do. But I can tell you, as a fact, that I had a lot of success. But I can tell you as a fact, I also had a lot of failure. And it never quite stabilized. And where I go back to is that for some reason, I was lacking some information, some knowledge. So, the neuroscience research continues with John Zager. And I don't have answers to give you guys to today's podcast. I wish I did, but I don't. And I'm going to keep working on this and see where it turns out. But I want to find out. What are the kids that come from the middle class have and don't have, and how do they turn out? So, God bless everybody. Take care of one another. And I'll look forward to talking to you all again real soon. Thanks. See you. Bye.